This is a Brandy Rocks production.
Yes, sir. Walleye on Pontiac Lake. I've never fished walleye on Pontiac Lake. I've fished them quite a bit on Union Lake. They catch some good ones out of Pontiac Lake. I've catfished Pontiac Lake quite a bit, bass fished it, bluegill fished it, but never walleyes in Pontiac Lake. I do know there's some good ones in there. The folks out at KD can give you some information on that. I don't know if Scott's ever fished it before, but you might want to ask him about it. Detroit River, yeah. If you want walleyes, go down to Detroit River. That's right. We got one of the best walleye fisheries in the world right here in our backyard. So, yes, sir. Pike on Cass Lake. Wow. When I looked over and I saw who was about to ask the question, I kind of figured it was going to be about toothy creatures. All right. I call them toothy creatures or slime critters or whatever you want to call them. And I got a tip for you on that. Carry some toothpaste with you. Get that stink off your hands before you go bass fishing, because you get that stink on your hands, the bass aren't going to come anywhere near you. I've never pike fished on Cass Lake. However, I have caught some pike on Cass Lake. And the areas that I think would be best for pike would probably be either back in the guts, where the launch is at, and trolling the edges, the deep edges, with maybe a bucktail mep spinner. I know a lot of guys have done it with bucktail mep spinners and live crawlers dangling off the back of them, or a daredevil, some of your different spoons, so on and so forth. When you come out there and you go down to the very far end down there, I like to throw a fluke a lot, and I have caught some big pike on fluke in there. Yep. Any other questions? Crotched Lake. Now, which Crotched Lake are we talking about? The one up off of Grange Hall Road?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I started out rabbit hunting all that area back in there. And it kind of went from, my wife's family actually lived up in Holly for a while. And my brother-in-law and I kind of jumped around to a lot of those little lakes in that area. I bluegill fished that quite a bit through the ice. We did try bass fishing it, and it seemed like it was just overloaded with little itty-bitty largemouth like this. A lot of those lakes in the Holly Rec area there, I don't know if they just stocked them or what happened, or if it's a boom of a hatch that went on or something, but a lot of little itty-bitty largemouth in there. And there, I would like to see the DNR go in there, net some of those little largemouth, and swap them with Lake Orion, take some of the big ones out of Lake Orion, put them in there, and maybe get that fishery moving in different directions. Yeah, but a lot of small fish in there, absolutely. Big Fish Lake? Big Fish Lake's got some really big fish in it, absolutely. Remember those lies I told you about? How'd you like that one? I've never fished Big Fish Lake for anything but largemouth, to be honest with you. And that used to be one of my favorite lakes to fish from shore, believe it or not. And it does. You've got a few little spouts that stick back into the woods and stuff there on some side, but they're building houses everywhere now from what I understand. I talked to some folks. I haven't fished Big Fish Lake in probably, it's been quite some time now. But they had some houses around there. And then, wait a minute, now let me just make sure that we're talking about, you got Big Lake, and then you got Big Fish Lake. Big Fish Lake is out in Ortonville Rec area. Okay. Back in the back of Big Fish Lake, it gets kind of swampy back in there. Goes way back into the woods there, and I think it's all state land back there. Used to do a little wood duck hunt back there. Big Fish Lake is another bowl, very deep. And it's got some good fish in it. When you come out of the launch, if you go across on the left-hand side there where that string of houses is there, some of those docks there where they've got their swim platforms and whatnot out there, that holds fish. Those swim platforms will hold fish. My neighbor actually has in-laws that live on Big Fish. We went out there last year, 2 years ago, and had a little mini tournament, me and my son against him and his son. And I think they won it with 15 pounds, and me and my son had 10. So, and it was a 3-fish limit. So they had 3 fish that were 5 or bigger. Yeah, there's some big fish in there, no doubt about it. Mesa Day has some good fish in it. Very tough to fish. It's another deep lake. I like to go to the back and go into Lotus. Yes. That's more my style of fishing. I can find my shallow water that I like to fish. Mesa Day can be really good when the boat traffic gets going on a dock bite on Mesa Day, most certainly. Yep, and I know a lot of guys fish for the splake and stuff like that in there. And I've heard that. I've not spent much time on Mesa Day fishing for smallmouth, so I can't lie to you about that. When I fish Mesa Day, I usually go back to Lotus. Usually when I fish Mesa Day, I'm in a tournament. So I'm going where I know I can catch them. I go back into Lotus and I catch my largemouth and call it good. So unfortunately, I can't tell you a lot about the smallmouth from there. I can just about bet you somebody in the store here, Mr. Moody or somebody that works in the fishing department probably knows something a little bit more about that than I do.